About 4 months ago, I graduated from university, and I like going out with a bang. So I designed and made my own shoes to wear for my graduation ceremony. Keep watching to see how I did it. This was supposed to be like a much longer video where I made my entire graduation outfit from scratch. But I scrapped it because no one would even see my dress with the graduation gown on. Super bummer. I decided to make my shoes tie-up espadrille wedges. You can buy kits for this from most craft stores from a brand called Dritz, I believe. But I got my materials from a store called Diego's, which specializes in making espadrilles, because I literally could not find any kits in any store. So my first step was to design and make the toes of my shoes, and let me just be completely honest here, I was doing this freehand without a pattern, which is kind of crazy, I know, but I just grabbed a bunch of instructions and sketchy PDFs I found on Pinterest and pieced together an idea of a plan. And I am all about color coordination. At my university, graduates wear academic hoods, and each degree has its own specific color. My degree's hood colors were green and gold, so I designed my shoes to match. I had a couple of ideas for my design, but I went with flowers because florals in spring, groundbreaking. I used a washable fabric marker to draw the pattern, which I would end up punch needling and embroidering. Yes, of course I bring punch needling into everything I make, but this is a different kind of punch needling. This is an ultra punch, and it's a little different from the punch needle I use regularly. It's thinner, adjustable, and used for something called punch needle embroidery. It uses very fine yarn or embroidery floss, which is what I use to make my shoes, as you can see with the DMC floss on the screen. I picked the colors just based on what I thought would look nice. I basically spent a lot of time sitting in like the Michaels embroidery aisle, comparing the colors to see what would look good together, and I came up with the color selection that you see here. I first started with outlining the big yellow flowers, which was all fine and dandy, and little old me thought, hey, let's add some dimension and sparkle and add some metallics in the mix. Big mistake, because no one, not a single person, cared to tell me that DMC metallic embroidery floss is forged in the deepest pits of hell. It was a big pain in the butt to work with, and I realized that super quickly. And so I just went to filling in all of the metallic sections of my shoes before doing anything else. You're only seeing small clips of this, and I want you to know that I'm muting out my crying sounds in these clips because it was literally so difficult to work with. And genuinely, I'm not joking here. Some minor demon must have come up here and helped me complete this because it was a complete nightmare. But I punch needled the center of the yellow flowers, and I did a satin stitch on the flower buds. I then stitched the big green leaves, which were super fun to do, probably because I did these right after the metallics, but I like experimenting with different embroidery stitches, like this fishbone stitch I used for the leaves. Pretty cool. Finally, I did the stem and the leaves of the flower buds. I did a simple back stitch for the stem, and then satin stitched the leaves, and I was done with the pattern. But the shoemaking was just starting. Now that I had my 2 completed toe patterns, it was time to cut them out and start sewing. For some extra security and comfort, I decided to add some fusible interfacing to the back of my toes. I cut some out and then ironed it to the back. And after this, I sewed them onto the soles, and it took me a couple of tries to fit the toe pattern around the shoe, but I managed it with a ridiculous amount of pins that were definitely a stabbing hazard. I also cut out a plain heel and pinned that on as well. I used monk's cloth strings to sew the fabric to the soles, which sounds kind of funny, but let me just say right now that they are still intact and usable, so I think it's a solid hack. And I'm using a long espadrille needle that I bought with my materials, but I think any type of thinner yarn needle should work fine. I did a blanket stitch to attach the fabric to my shoes, and now I only had one more step to finish them. There are a lot of different ways that you can fasten espadrilles. There's eyelets, elastic straps, all that jazz. I did not have eyelets, and I did not have elastic on hand. So I went with a makeshift loop on top of the heel that I could feed some fabric straps into. Even from the video footage, you can tell that it looks super sketchy. and that's because it is. Luckily, they didn't cause me any trouble during the graduation ceremony, but they broke off afterwards, so I ended up getting some eyelets and then attaching them onto the heels. And here are the finished shoes. As you can see, there's a couple of pictures of me wearing them at my graduation. They were super cute and matched my graduation hood perfectly. There are a couple of things I would have done differently though. I probably would have used like stronger interfacing because the toes kind of looked lumpy at some parts, and definitely some sort of bright check or fabric sealant. I probably would not have punched right to the edge of the pattern, and I would not have used DMC metallic embroidery floss either. That's a lot of stuff, but it was still fun overall. Like and subscribe because barely any of you who watch my videos do this. Shoutouts to those who do though. And comment below what else I should make.